I was going to ask about, I do feel I have some duty on a personal level as well, because I've always had my own suspicions about this. Dumbledore being gay.
I thought you were going to ask something completely. Yeah, go on.
Dumbledore being gay.
Yeah.
Well, was that something that was just thrown out for the American press to get them stirred up a bit? No.
No, it did.
No, it did, which is obviously was very funny. But
yeah, I found people's reaction to that really interesting, and I'll tell you why. By the time that I said that, I had been working on these characters for 17 years. Now, not many writers have ever been with the same set of characters for that long. Right. So I feel I can sort of speak for all of us who have to say it becomes a very intense experience, and inevitably you are going to know things about characters, and I'm characters in the plural, that are not, in some cases will be relevant, and you'll think, oh yeah, this is the moment that becomes relevant, and I will say that or show that. Right. And as time went on and I got to know Dumbledore, but this is before the publication of Philosopher's Stone, so bear in mind, at this point, I've been with him for 7 years, I knew he was gay. I just knew he was gay.
Okay.
And to me, it was not a big deal. This is a very old man who has a very terrible job to do, and his gayness is not really... It's not really relevant. Very relevant to him as a character, because I always saw him as a very lonely character. And I think that there is, in fact, a hint of it in 7, because the relationship he has with Grindelwald, he fell very hard for this boy. He's awfully trusting of this good-looking young man when he shows up. And don't you think it was perfect that Dumbledore, who is always the great champion of love, Harry, love will save us, love, his one great experience of love was utterly tragic. Yeah. It was with someone who was dangerous and demonic.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and created absolute havoc in the world and created havoc for him. So that was my idea of Dumbledore's tragic backstory. Yeah. Now, I liked leaving it open so that perhaps a more worldly reader would see that there was, that may have been in that relationship. And perhaps a 9-year-old would think he made a great friend and he trusted him.
Exactly.
Do you know? So I was okay with that.
Through all the books.
JK Rowling was very cherished by lesbians, gays, and transgenders in the 2010s. This has much to do with the fact that she said that Dumbledore was a gay man. But now, a decade later, JK Rowling is no longer championed by the lesbians, gays, and transgenders, and now some of them even call for JK Rowling's death. And while JK Rowling was previously close with Harry Potter actors like Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Wattson, there is now clearly a rift between them. How did this happen? How is it that J.K. Rowling, who was once a trophy of the left, is now considered one of the biggest enemies to the transgender movement? This all began in 2018 when a woman named Rachel talked about how while she was 18 at a Labour Party meeting, she asked them to take down a lewd calendar. She was told to toughen up, be louder, stronger and independent, but she often felt not supported, and she said men in dresses get brocialist solidarity that she never had, and said that was misogyny. Back then you could see who liked certain posts on Twitter, and as it turns out, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, happened to like that tweet, and this caused many people on Twitter to get very upset. J.K. Rowling's spokespeople claimed that this was just a middle-aged moment, that in an act of clumsiness she accidentally liked this post. About a year later, J.K. Rowling followed a YouTuber named Magdalene Burns. Magdalene Burns was an outspoken lesbian known for saying that transgenders can't actually change their gender. Many people on Twitter claimed that this was a very dangerous act of hate for someone who had a large platform like J.K. Rowling. Others said they were still fans of Harry Potter but were very disappointed with this new stance that J.K. Rowling was developing. Others called for Harry Potter boycotts. At this point, it was mostly just a fringe group of Twitter users who were upset with J.K. Rowling's views on transgenderism. In 2019, a UK tax specialist was fired from her job because of her opinions on transgenderism. This led to a response by J.K. Rowling, who said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real?" Despite the fact that J.K. Rowling was supporting cross-dressing and sodomy, she was still considered an enemy of the movement. In June of 2020, there was an article about people who menstruate. J.K. Rowling went on to say, "I'm sure there used to have to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumben? Wimpund? Wumid? Opinion, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for the people who menstruate." J.K. Rowling continued, If sex isn't real, there is no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, that lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate speech to speak the truth. The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. JK Rowling reiterated her support to transgenderism, saying, "I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so." However, this support for the transgender movement was not considered to be enough. Many were still very upset with the things that she had to say on Twitter. Bonnie Wright, the actress for Ginny Weasley, who would later marry Harry Potter, said, "If Harry Potter was a source of love and belonging for you, that love is infinite and there to take without judgment or question. Trans women are women. I see and love you, Bonnie. Mwah." That kiss was for all the trans people of the world, especially those who were angry at JK Rowling. Rupert Grint, who played Ron Weasley, the brother of Ginny Weasley, said, "I firmly stand with the trans community. Trans women are women. Trans men are men." And then Emma Wattson said, "I want my trans followers to know that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are." She didn't leave a kiss, though, like Bonnie Wright did. Emma Wattson continued, "Trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are." At the BAFTA Awards, Emma Watson would later go on to give this speech.
"I'm here for all of the witches."
JK Rowling would later note that this was actually a turning point in their relationship. Daniel Radcliffe would go on to say, "Transgender women are women. Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associates who have far more expertise on the subject matter than Joe or I." And while some were very hasty to distance themselves from JK Rowling and her opinions, others were a little more hesitant. To the date, Tom Felton has yet to comment on the controversy surrounding JK Rowling and this whole debate about transgenderism.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? And you're sort of, you're still very much, you and the other stars of the film are sort of very much still the face of the franchise, if you like. We sort of, speak to you and hear from you guys, and as I was just saying, you get asked about it all the time. JK obviously has a sort of more of a backseat now. Is it strange, kind of her not being around at things like this?
Next question, please.
Oh, okay.
He seems to be undecided and riding the fence, sort of like his character Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies.
"Come forward and join us, or die."
Draco!
Come.
Well done.
But I'm hopeful that Tom Felton, like his respective character Draco Malfoy, will in the end come around and make the right decision, and join the good guys. Just like Ralph Fiennes, who played Voldemort, he offered support to JK Rowling in an interview in The Telegraph, saying that the verbal abuse directed at her is disgusting. Helena Carter, who played Bellatrix Lestrange, told The Times, "It's been taken to the extreme. The judgmentalism of people, she's allowed her opinion, particularly if she's suffered abuse." Robbie Coltrane, the actor of Hagrid, said, "I don't think what she said was offensive, really. I don't know why, but there's a whole Twitter generation of people who hang around waiting to be offended. They wouldn't have won the war, would they?" JK Rowling's ex-husband also had something to say. He said that he doesn't regret slapping her. But JK Rowling wasn't just facing swaths of purple-haired keyboard warriors on Twitter. Things were getting real. Salman Rushdie, the author of the Satanic Verses, was stabbed, and JK Rowling actually ended up tweeting in favor of him, and someone responded saying, "You are next." She was also threatened with a pipe bomb.
"Found the source of the ticking! It's a pipe bomb!
Yeah!
Another man threatened her in Gaelic, saying that he would kill her with a hammer. A group of transgender activists posted JK Rowling's address to Twitter. She had received more death threats than Harry had received letters to Hogwarts. And while Harry Potter actors like Bonnie Wright, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, and Daniel Radcliffe were quick to denounce JK Rowling's views. Where were they in her time of need? Did they denounce any of these terroristic threats or calls of violence? Additionally, she was also denounced by the Robert Kennedy Human Rights Group, who had previously given her an award. JK Rowling decided to return them her award. A British school had previously named one of their buildings after JK Rowling, but after JK Rowling decided to express her opinions, they felt it was unsavory to keep that name and ended up naming the building after somebody else. But it wasn't only JK Rowling who was being punished. People were being punished for associating or voicing support for her. The author of The Boy in Striped Pajamas ended up losing an award, the James Joyce Award, because he had previously supported JK Rowling and her right of self-expression. Had JK Rowling really become toxic? Was it dangerous to associate with her? In the year of 2023, the Harry Potter franchise was going to be making a very massive expansion with the release of Hogwarts Legacy, a very ambitious game that cost nearly $150 million. This was indeed a very big gamble, as it seemed many people really despised JK Rowling and were calling for boycotts of her media. As previously mentioned, the hate for JK Rowling was now extending to people who dared to associate with her. There was a website that was made that would actually track streamers who were playing Hogwarts Legacy. That way they could be punished by the Twitter mobs. Could Harry Potter survive with such vitriol and avid haters? Leftist streamer Hassan Piker talked about how he actually wanted to play the game in real time.
The only reason why I'm not playing this game, and I know a bunch of other people are not playing this game, is because we know that it's not worth it to get fucking bullied endlessly and called transphobic endlessly when we have massive queer communities and audiences. That's it. Everybody knows, everybody fucking knows how much leftist motherfuckers love to chirp on the internet. They got no power. All they do is chirp, chirp, chirp. And that's precisely why so many fucking people that would otherwise like play it, maybe even raise money for, charities or whatever. They're not doing it. I knew that this was going to happen. That's why I wanted to set it up ahead of time. I got fucking yelled at endlessly and relentlessly on my alt account. Like they were making it seem like I was already transphobic for even thinking about this. And now look at that.
Hassan Piker was afraid of his fans, afraid of the people who watched his show. Talk about love and tolerance. How much power would this Hogwarts Legacy boycott have? Shortly after Hogwarts Legacy's launch, its sales went way different than the Twitter mobs had hoped.
Hogwarts Legacy has retained its top spot as the best-selling game on Steam. CSGO is higher in revenue, but that's a free-to-play title with microtransactions. Legacy is outselling the next closest actual paid game, Modern Warfare 2, by a good margin, according to the chart. Now, Modern Warfare 2 has been out for a minute. Hogwarts Legacy is listed on Amazon as the top-selling game on the PS5 right now, ahead of upcoming Dead Space remake, out in 11 days, and Sonic Frontiers. Hogwarts Legacy is listed on Amazon as the number 2 seller in Xbox Series, behind only Modern Warfare 2. One exception to Hogwarts Legacy's dominance is on the Switch, where it's listed as just the 33rd best-selling game on Switch on Amazon, behind dozens of other titles. The reason being for that is the Switch version of the game won't be out until the middle of summer, as the port there needs more time apparently. Unlike upcoming big 2023 release, Starfield, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, and The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Hogwarts Legacy is releasing on all platforms as a third-party title. Other big title games this year, like Diablo 4 and The Squad, but it seems possible that Hogwarts Legacy could literally beat them all.
Perhaps the loudest voices aren't the best reflection for the populace. Still, there were many who wished violence and death upon JK Rowling. There were still many on the fringe who were very open about wishing death and violence on JK Rowling. Gretchen Felker Martin, a transgender writer, wished to personally carry out the bloody act. But as explained in a previous video, Gretchen Felker Martin ended up losing its employment at DC Comics after celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Just 2 years after Hogwarts Legacy's astonishing success, it seemed that JK Rowling hate was no longer very fashionable. Now in September of 2025, Emma Wattson is asked about how she feels about JK Rowling.
I really don't believe that by having had that experience and holding the love and support and views that I have mean that I can't and don't treasure Joe and the person that I had personal experiences with. I will never believe that one negates the other, and that my experience of that person I don't get to keep and cherish. Throwing out of people, or that people are disposable, and I just think I will always think that's wrong. And also, honestly, just as a young woman, for her to have written that character, created that world, given me an opportunity, which, to be honest, barely exists in the history of English literature. How can I? There's just no world in which I could ever cancel her out or cancel that out for anything. It has to remain true. It is true. And this is where this like holding of these, I just don't know what else to do other than hold these two seemingly incompatible things together at the same time, and just hope maybe they will one day resolve or co-join themselves, and maybe accept that they never will, but that they can both still be true.
In the past, Emma Wattson was very quick to criticize JK Rowling's beliefs when a microphone was placed in front of her. And when JK Rowling was threatened with death and rape, she was nowhere to be found. But now she says that she cherishes and loves JK Rowling. How does JK Rowling feel about these statements? JK Rowling explains that she's not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character that she had created. She goes on to say that Emma Wattson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology, and that she wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work, violence, or death because of them. And these are all things that JK Rowling has been threatened with: her business, her life, and her body. She goes on to say, however, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Until quite recently, I hadn't quite managed to throw off the memory of the children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big scary film studio. Even when the documentary, The Witch Trials on JK Rowling, was coming out, JK Rowling told the producers that she didn't want Emma Wattson to be hounded as a result of anything that JK Rowling would say. But JK Rowling goes back to that all the witches speech.
I'm here for all of the witches.
She says that in truth, this was a turning point for her. At this time, she was facing lots of violent threats, people who wanted to kill her. And Emma Wattson and Daniel Radcliffe were nowhere to be seen. In fact, this speech was actually throwing, in her words, petrol on the fire. While Emma Wattson was publicly denouncing JK Rowling, she was secretly handing her a note that said, "I am so sorry for everything that has happened." JK Rowling said Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern for me would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Emma Wattson, however, claims that she is open for dialogue, and that she would like to speak with JK Rowling, just not publicly.
I think the thing I'm most upset about is that a conversation was never made possible.
So you remain open for that dialogue?
Yeah, and I always will. I believe in that. I believe in that completely. I believe in that completely. I just don't, I just don't want to say anything that like continues to weaponize a really like toxic debate and conversation, which is maybe why I don't, well, it is why I don't comment or like continue to comment, not because I don't care about her or about the issue, but because I just, the way that the conversation is being had feels really painful to me.
Here, Emma Wattson is saying she cares about an authentic conversation, but she wouldn't want this to be done in a way that would generate a lot of publicity or devolve into a catfight. But one can only wonder, if that's truly how she feels, why doesn't she just call JK Rowling? After all, she does have her phone number. No one's stopping her from this private conversation. JK Rowling went on to say, the greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love. Emma is rightfully free to disagree with me, and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public. But I have the same right, and I finally decided to exercise it. Do you think Emma Wattson will sincerely try to reach out to JK Rowling? Or do you think she was saying all of those things simply for show? Make sure to comment and let me know what you think down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, or...
I'll tell ya!
Thank you.